Right, okay, so we'll make a start. So welcome to this afternoon session. This is a standalone session. Could I just ask that you check that your microphones are switched off, if that's all right, just so we don't get any feedback and I don't end up listening to my voice several times over coming back. It's just like nothing worse is than hearing your own voice. So yeah, so this is a standalone session, session N1, and it's all about synthetic phonics. I will apologise now. I am not a phonics teacher. I am not an English teacher. So those of you with very young children who have been doing phonics with them, you will probably be able to pronounce some of these sounds and things far better than I can. I'm of that age where we were taught, you know, A is for apple, B is for balloon or whatever. So please bear with me when we're doing the sounds and things. So yeah. Okay, we will try and have at least one break, if not two. There are a few activities during the session as well, which is nice. So yeah, so we'll just dive straight in to synthetic phonics. So this is a really useful session for those of you in particular who are looking to go into primary schools, working with their young children, but they do phonics works in secondary schools as well. Okay, so aims and objectives for this afternoon session is to understand what synthetic phonics are and obviously in particular their use in education. So we're going to look at what phonics are, first of all, and then in particular synthetic phonics. And then we're going to look at the strategies that are used to support children to learn phonics. And towards the end, we'll look at some resources that maybe are not particularly very good phonics resources. So I'll give you a chance to just put those, write those down. Yeah, sorted. So just give me a thumbs up when you're happy to go on. And there's no questions to go with this module either, which is quite nice. So it's just a nice module, nice happy afternoon. No, there's no rush, don't worry, I'm not going to move on until you're ready. You've just joined, can you just check that your microphones are off, please? I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Lovely, thank you. No, Savannah, there aren't any questions for this particular module. As I say, it's a standalone session, just giving you a nice introduction to synthetic phonics. Yeah, and there aren't any questions to go with it. Well, as far as I'm aware, there's no questions to go with it. There hasn't been. Somebody will probably tell me there is now. Okay, so I think most people have said that they're happy to move on. Brilliant, lovely, thank you. So just a little question for you all, first of all, and you can put this in the chat if you want to. So what's the very first book that you remember reading at school? And then when you put it, have a think about what it is about that book that you do remember most about it. What makes you remember that book? For me, and this is again when I'm showing my age, but it was The Magic Faraway Tree by Enid Blyton. That was the one that I remember reading at school. Oh, getting loads of this. This is where I start to feel very old. Janet and John books as well. The books I remember too. So we got Billy Blue Hat. Yeah, Biff and Chip. Yeah, that's one that quite a few people have read. Peter and Jane. Yeah, I think they were like the Janet and John books, weren't they? Hungry Caterpillar. No, oh, cute books. Yeah, the Janet and John series. Yeah, Petra, you're the same as me, aren't we? Yeah, Enid Blyton. We love Enid Blyton. Still read Enid Blyton now. It's great having a granddaughter now because I can go back and get all these lovely books that I used to read as a child. Rebecca, I think that's a book. Whatever next? I wasn't sure whether you were asking the question, but yeah, whatever next. The Tiger Who Came for Tea. Lovely. Yeah, Biff, Chip and Kipper. Oh, that's quite funny. Hungry Caterpillar again. Yeah, the old Ladybird books. Dear Zoo. Oh, are they really? So they're making the Magic Faraway Tree into a film? Oh, I hope they'll do it justice. Oh, James said it was a book with loads of ooh sounds in it. Oh, I don't know. Got the Hungry Caterpillar. Some people don't remember. Yeah, Mr. Men books, Tiger Who Came to Tea. Yeah, the Enid Blyton books, Famous Five, Alice in Wonderland, Heidi. Oh yeah, I love the Heidi books. Yeah, the Elves and the Shoemaker and Peter Pan, Funny Bones. Okay, so does anybody, rather than me talking throughout the whole session, does anybody want to tell me what it is about that particular book that makes it stand out for them? Um, what does reading do for you? So anybody want to have a say? No? No? Oh, lovely. Thank you, Gemma. Hello.
Hello, you're right there.
I am. Good to see you.
I'm fine, thank you. The book I put down that I remember the most is Look.
Sorry. Thanks, Jade.
It's all right. It's called Look, and the reason I remember it is because I put it in front of my mum's book to show her as she was pulling on the drive, and she drove into the gate. So I think that was more of a case of my mum never let me forget that book. But as I got older, I didn't like reading out in class. So when everybody was reading, they used to get us to take it in turns and read to the teacher. So you'd read your book, and at the time, as a child, you'd hear people giggling and instantly thought I was doing something wrong or I was reading it wrong. But as I've got older and you watch children read, I actually wonder whether they were just laughing at the book that they were reading.
Yeah.
But at the time, it really I didn't enjoy I stopped enjoying reading. So I kind of like I'll read, and once I get into a good book, it's fine. But I encourage my girls as much as possible to read, but because I don't want them to go through what I did. But I did for a time. I hated reading because it used to make me so nervous that I was doing it wrong.
Oh, bless you. Oh, I'm glad you've got back into it though, and it's nice when you look back and you realise, the like you said, they're probably more into the book themselves than
Yeah.
actually anything that you're doing. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing that. It's brilliant. Nafisa, thank you.
Hey, Janet. So I'd probably say the books that I remember was the ones like the picture books that you'd pick up, like there'd be something behind it. So what's behind the tree? And then you would pick up whatever the tree. I really enjoyed them type of books, and I remember them a lot from primary. And I mean, I'm 33, nearly 34 now, but I still remember them from primary. I would always go, they were my go-to books. So yeah.
Yeah, it's the interactiveness of it, isn't it? And that little bit of discovery, that little bit of excitement that they bring as well, isn't it? That is brilliant. Thanks for that, Nafisa. Lovely. Anne-Marie, hello.
Hello. My favorite books was things like the Famous Five, because you could use your imagination to go on their little adventures with them and sort of bring them to life. Yeah, I used to love things like that. And Enid Blyton. I've actually still got all my books from when I was younger that when I moved out of my mum and dad's house, I brought with me. And now my boys have my old books, which obviously include Famous Five, Enid Blyton, anything where my imagination could go elsewhere, so I wasn't sort of in the real world. Yeah, so that's just something I enjoyed doing, just going off in my own little world.
Brilliant, thank you for that. And Oh, just put your thank you, Anne-Marie. And yeah, it's true, isn't it? Books can do so much for you, can't they? They can take you to other worlds, take you out of, what's going on in your life, a little bit of escapism. I love to read all the time. I'm an avid reader, and very eclectic in what I read in terms of a mix. I love horror. I love chick lit, whatever it's called, a bit of Bridget Jones, or absolutely anything and every history, social history, dramas. I just love to read. So just posing the question then, and again, you can put it in the chat if you like, or if you want to tell me, why do you think reading or being able to read is so important then, particularly for children and young people? Yeah, Nafisa, thank you.
Well, I guess it helps with their vocabulary, like how they communicate, how maybe their imagination, learning to talk, I guess, and
Yeah.
try to put sentences together with a picture. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right. It helps with the vocabulary, the speech, the language, communication. Yeah, perfect. Getting lots of people on the chat adding to that as well. And like you say, imagination, as Gemma said as well, to expand their minds and understanding, communication and language. Absolutely, Lorraine. Yeah, Matthew says it helps, and I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, I do apologise. It helps to develop other skills and brings curiosity about the world. Oops, my chat's going really fast. Encourages interaction as well, yeah, particularly I suppose if you're reading with others as well. Petra said that the learning to read Julia Donaldson books started her eldest being able to talk because he was speech delayed, so that's brilliant. Rebecca said helps build imagination, vocabulary, gets lost in another world. Oh yeah, that's what I love about books. It just takes you to other places, doesn't it? Absolutely. Makalisi, you had your hand up. You're gonna add?
Yeah, sorry. The thing I was gonna say that it takes you to that different world, but I heard you saying it on the chat. Yeah, it just gets you to in that world, and it's like, oh yeah, you forget about you kind of like forget about everything, and you just in that
Yeah,
world.
yeah,
Ish.
absolutely. Yeah, it takes you elsewhere. I think as well with books, it can link you to other people, can't it? My sister and I have both read lots of the same books, particularly trilogies and series of books. And we both read. I read it first. It was a book called Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I don't know if anybody's ever read it. And there's quite a few of these books out now, and they're based in Prague. The books to begin with, and they're just really, really. They're just incredible books, to the point where we've both read these series of books about 4 or 5 times between us, again and again, because we just love them that much. And it's created that bond for me and my sister, those books, to the point where we're actually going to go on holiday to Prague, the two of us, to go to where a lot of the places within Prague where the book is set. And it's the same with another series we're reading, it the Undead series, which again is really bonding us as well, because my sister's read them all. There's like 28 books, and I think I'm on day 19, I think day 20, and she keeps messaging me, or I'll message her and go, oh my god, I can't believe just what's happened. And it makes you cry, it makes you laugh, and I just love that that's really helped to bring us together even more. So yeah, everybody's putting loads of nice things. Learn about how words are used in different contexts. It helps with imagination and play. Yeah, absolutely. Because children act things out, don't they? That they read in books and imagine themselves as different characters and things. Yeah, perfect. Oh, the Mills and Boons, Makalisi. Bit of Jackie Collins, bit of what was her name? Barbara. What was her name? Barbara, not Barbara Woodhouse. That was the dog person. What was her name? Barbara Cartland. Thank you, Petra. Lorraine, thank you. So yeah, it can really, help to bond and just have fun with books, can't you? Fantastic. Oops, right. I think I went too far then. There we go. Okay, so we're going to obviously move on to the actual session. We could talk about books all day, couldn't I? So as I said, this particular session, although it is a standalone session, it does link really well to session E3 from module E. Because we're going to talk about some of the strategies we can use to enhance learning. So we're going to talk about some of the strategies to do with phonics and with reading and so on. So that will help with your learning, as I say, for module E. So creating a language-rich environment for children is crucial for supporting their speech and language development. A language-rich environment provides ample opportunities for children to engage in meaningful conversations, interact with diverse vocabulary, and develop strong communication skills. And really what we need to think about is how can we create a language-rich environment then? What sorts of strategies, what sorts of things can we do to create that language-rich environment? So has anybody got any ideas of things that we could do? So thinking about in the classroom, you know, how can we create a language-rich environment as much as possible? What sorts of things could we do? Oh, lovely. Yes. So we've got ideas coming thick and fast. Oh my gosh, can't keep up. Brilliant. Yeah, Natalie said displays, posters, using flashcards, singing songs from Rebecca. Perfect. Anne-Marie, yeah, labelling different things within the classroom. So like labels on toys, games. You could have labels like the days of the week, the weather, couldn't you? Children's names. Having a word of the day. I love that. Different languages displayed. So, you know, the word hello in different languages, goodbye, thank you, please. You know, some of those basic words you could have displayed, couldn't you? But not just display them, use them as well. So yeah, Anne-Marie said having books obviously available. Learning poetry, yeah. So it's not just about, you know, reading books. We have poetry, the lyrics of songs, colourful eye-catching displays, flashcards, book corner, story time. Perfect. Yeah, so children reading along with the stories. Show and tell, that comes up quite a lot, doesn't it? So that is a really good one. That really gets them talking about things that they're interested in and makes them more enthusiastic about talking, doesn't it? Lovely. Yeah, we've got role play, Louise, so acting out a storybook, creating it in the classroom. Love that, Gemma. Yeah, library visits. So going visiting the local library. I love the smell of a library. I love the smell of new books. Yeah, showing videos to go with maybe books that they've read. So there's films, cartoons of them. Perfect. Yes, there's lots of things that we can do. You know, things like reading aloud regularly, you know, as well as the story time, you know, that reading aloud, as somebody said before, getting children to read along with you. Lots of discussion work we could do. So yeah, there's absolutely loads that you could do to have that language rich environment. For some reason my mouse doesn't want to work. There we go. So how can we support children to learn to read then? So that's what we're going to look at next. So first of all, just some important terms. So I'll put the words on the board first, on the board, on the PowerPoint, sorry. So first of all, what do these particular terms mean then? So we've got decipher, multi-agency and phoneme. So has anybody got ideas of what any of those three terms mean? What about decipher, first of all? What does that mean? We decipher something. Yeah, Louise, thank you.
Hi. I guess it just means to work it out, to understand what's in front of you, or pull something apart to explain it.
Yes, absolutely perfect. Yeah. So to pull something apart, to work out what it means. Yeah, it's like to decode something, isn't it? Absolutely. Thanks for that, Louise. Perfect. Brilliant. Okay, what about multi-agency then? So what would we say that multi-agency means? Anybody want to? Marie, thank you.
Is it the different people that can work together to help with things like reading, speech and language, things like that? But it's different people from different,
Yeah, perfect.
all coming together as one sort of thing.
Brilliant. So who might be involved in a multi-agency team then?
Social workers, speech and language, teachers, nursery nurses, whoever is in the environment that needs to be doing things to obviously help people read. Or
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's those different professionals, isn't it, that can come together. And it's, you know, particularly in the context of what we're talking about with speech language communication, it's those people, as Anne-Marie rightly said, who can come together to work as a team to support a child if they are having difficulties or delays with speech language communication. So as you said, teachers, teaching assistants, the SENCO, speech and language therapists, could be physiotherapist, occupational therapist. There's all sorts of different professionals that could be involved. Brilliant. Parents as well, Makalisi. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I forgot parents. Probably one of the most important people that would help. Absolutely. So what about the third one then? A phoneme. What does phoneme mean? Oh, Gary, if that's okay.
Yeah, is it like the individual sounds that make up a word?
Yes.
Sound that we say.
Yeah, perfect. Have we got any examples? Oh.
Like in the word sun, it would be s-un. So it's the sounds that we make.
Wonderful, perfect. Thank you. I might be picking on you later to help me make some of these sounds. Really, really bad. I wish I was a phonics teacher. So yeah, so I'll put those terms on. Oh, there we go. So yeah, absolutely, as all three of you said. So decipher is to decode, to work the meaning of something out. Multi-agency, as you say, involving different agencies, different services working together. And then phoneme, as Gary rightly said, it's the distinct units of sound, such as the p in pad, so p at d, and as Gary rightly said, sun, s, n. So yeah, so in terms of phonemes, I don't know if you know, but there are actually there's more than 40 different phonemes in the spoken English language. And some phonemes represent sounds such as f and p. So the ph, so if you think of like phone, f, so you've got f as in foam, F-O-A-M, and phone, P-H. So there's different sounds that can be represented by single letters or where we have a couple of letters added together, but we'll look at those in a little bit more detail as we go along. Okay, so we're going to look now, as I say, at phonics in a little bit more detail. So what is phonics? So phonics is a method of teaching reading that emphasizes the relationship between sounds and their corresponding written symbols or graphemes, sorry, in a systematic and clear way. So that's what phonics is. It's a method of teaching reading for children. And the primary goal of phonics instruction is to help children to develop that ability to be able to decode words by associating the sounds of spoken language with the letters or groups of letters that represent those sounds in written language. So it's helping them to link the sounds, the letters with the written and the actual, you know, the verbal saying of them as well. So it's really linking speaking, listening, reading and writing all together through the use of sounds. Very, very different to how, certainly how I was taught to read, and possibly for some of you as well. I think phonics, I'm not sure how long phonics has been going on for, quite a while, isn't it? But certainly I'm 51 now, so it certainly wasn't around when I was a wee lass. Yeah, it is. It's different, but you are absolutely right, Rebecca. It makes so much more sense. And we'll watch a little video as well a little bit later on, about that difference as well in particular. So that's phonics. So what we're going to look at next is synthetic phonics in particular. So we're going to look at what synthetic phonics is. So synthetic phonics. There we go. I'll put the whole slide on. I think that's it all. So synthetic phonics is an evidence-based method that focuses on teaching children the relationship between sounds, which is your phonemes, and the written counterparts, graphemes. So unlike other approaches, which may rely on whole word recognition, synthetic phonics systematically breaks down the English language into its smallest sound units. So this systematic and explicit instruction allows learners to blend these sounds together to be able to read words and to be able to segment them to spell them. So that's what synthetic phonics is. And another important question I suppose to ask is why synthetic phonics? So understanding the significance of synthetic phonics is crucial. Research has shown consistently that this method is actually highly effective in helping children to acquire really strong decoding skills, and that in turn leads to improved reading accuracy and comprehension. So by equipping learners with the ability to decode words by sound, synthetic phonics actually lays out a really robust foundation for reading success. So it lays those foundational bricks, if you like, to help children to read and to progress with their reading, which are, you know, as we said, in turn helps with speech, language, and communication. And just to recap what we said about phonemes before, so phonemes, as Gary rightly said, are the smallest units of sound in language, and graphemes are basically the written symbols representing those sounds. So synthetic phonics emphasizes the direct teaching of these relationships between the sound and the written symbol, if you like. Okay, is everybody all right to go on? Fab. Oh, there you go. So just a little thing at the bottom there. So did you know that actually the sound system is more complex and inconsistent in English than in other languages put together? So it's, you know, our system of English is very, very complex, very inconsistent. So when you think about children in your classroom, you may well have English as a second language, or, you know, don't yet have English as a language, you know, it is a very, very difficult system for them to pick up, you know, alongside their own languages as well. So since 2010, the government has sought to embed the effective teaching of phonics in schools. So they are actually committed fully to continuing to raise literacy standards by ensuring that all children, including those from disadvantaged backgrounds, can read fluently and with understanding. So it's a huge drive from the government to ensure that children can read fluently, and it's through that use of the effective teaching of phonics. So as I say, so if you're looking to be a teaching assistant in primary schools, then phonics is something that you will most definitely be working on with children. And I know, having done this session and other sessions as well, I know a lot of you as parents are set homeworks, aren't you, with your children to do this phonics work at home, as well as, you know, as they're doing it in school. So it's giving that consistent message, you know, whatever they're doing in school, they're doing at home. And I know it's something I've got to really, really pick up on with my granddaughter Mia, to learn how to do this phonics with her. Okay, so we're going to look at vowels and consonants. I feel like I'm on, is it countdown? Vowels and consonants. So we're going to watch a little video, and it is literally a little video. I think it's about 30 seconds long. And this just goes through a little reminder of what consonants and vowels actually are. It's more for children, so I apologise, but it's just a nice little video.
You've eaten the alphabet again, haven't you? Give him a hand. Start with the vowels. Vowels are the letters you can sound out without closing your mouth.
O,
A, E, O, and A. Every word needs one. All the other letters are called consonants, and there's quite a lot of them. Y is a bit... It sometimes acts as a consonant in a word, and sometimes acts as a vowel. Right, come on. It's time for tea. No, I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, it is meant for children, but I think it's quite a cute little video. So that just explains what vowels and consonants actually are. Okay, so where do we begin then? So we're going to have a couple of activities to start off with, a bit of fun. So your first little job, and this caused such such controversy when I did this for the first time I did this end session. So I'm going to put you into groups. Okay, and as a group, how many short words can you make with just these letters? So A, B, C, D, E, and F. Now, yes, you can use the letters more than once. That's not a problem. And it's as many short words as you can think of. So there's no minimum, there's no maximum. It's just as many words as you can think of as a group. It got very, very competitive the last time I did this. It was unbelievable. So there's 38 of you. So I'm going to just split you up into 6 groups, okay? So please, when you go into the breakout rooms, please, please, please put your microphones on. I appreciate that some of you obviously have children in the room, so can't have your cameras on, but the breakout rooms are there for you to participate, you know, in the session. So I'll open the rooms. It says 10 minutes, but it probably won't take you that long. So once you're done as a group, by all means come back into the main session, but I'll literally close it in about 7 minutes. I'll take it to 1 o'clock. Okay, so I've created the rooms, and then please just choose one spokesperson for your group. just to feedback on how many words that you've got, and then we might have a bit of a discussion on what you've come up with. Makalisi, you okay?
Yeah, so is one example like bad, B-A-D?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Any words that you can think of at all. So this is where it causes controversy now. Ambreen?
Right.
So we have to use just these words to make other words. Just
Yeah,
these.
you can only use those letters, no other letters. So you can't use the letter S or T or U, only those on the screen.
Okay, that's
Only A, B, C, D, E, and F. If you want to use them twice, you can, but you can only use those letters. Okay, so 6 minutes, off you go. Open the rooms. So, Sidra, you're in room 4. You just need to press the link on your Zoom to join the breakout room. So you'll have to find where it says breakout room on your Zoom on the little taskbar. So where your taskbar's got mute, stop video, and so on. There should be one that says breakout rooms. Yeah.
No, it's not showing any room here.
Okay, so is the one that's got 3 little dots that says more?
Let me check.
Yeah, so if you click on that, the breakout room's probably there.
Mm, 1 second. Is this on my screen?
Okay, we're just getting everybody back. This is where it gets very competitive now. This is where we have stewards' inquiries and everything. So just make sure your microphones are off when you come back. And then I'm hoping that each group has sorted out a spokesperson. So we've just got a couple of people coming, just waiting for a few more people to come back. Yeah, it is a bit like I should have. I can send like a voice message into the chat, so I'll have to do that for the next one. I go do 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 do. Right, okay. So room 1 is Gary, Harriet, Louise, and so on. So do you have a spokesperson for your group? Gary,
It's
right,
me.
brilliant. So how many words did your group come up with?
I've actually got 26 down.
Right, 26 from room 1. Okay. Can any other room beat 26? So room 2, room 3. Oh, anybody got more than 6? Oh, go in the chat. Let's have a look. Oh, I know the competition. Okay, so nobody else got more than 26. Okay, Gary, very, very quickly. Do you want to go through your 26 words?
Yeah. So assuming we're allowed to use letters twice in there, are we?
Well, apparently so, yes.
So we've got bad, bee, obviously bumblebee, bed, dab, feed, fee, decaf, cafe, ace and aced, face and faced, fade and faded, fab, fed, bed, cab, deaf, deed, bead, beef, beaded, fade, bedded, and cade.
Wow, very good. Fantastic. So we've got 26 words there. So room 1 of the room to beat. Wow, okay. So, okay. So I think they were all words. I'm not a person with a dictionary. They've got a proper term, haven't they? But I don't know what it is. Okay, so second activity. So same sort of thing. Okay. But again, you can, for this activity, you can only use these letters that are now on the screen. So you've got S, A, T, L, P, and N. So again, they're the only letters you can use in your group. You can use them more than once if you want to, I'll let you. And again, so it's 3 minutes past 1. So I'm going to open the rooms again. So about 7 minutes. So let's see how many words you can get just from those letters. So not using the ones from the other screen, only these ones. So S, A, T, L, P, and N. I've got salt already. There you go. That's 1. Off you go. I'll open the rooms. Okay, everybody's just coming back. Okay, just a few more people. Room 2 still going for it. Talking away. So we've really got everybody back. Couple more seconds. So we'll see which room's got the most words. Second. All right. Okay, so just make sure your microphones are off. Brilliant. Okay, so rather than go, I won't go to room 1 this time. So what I'll say is, how many, if people want to put, no, let's have a think. Right, are there any rooms who got more than 30? 100. Macalisi, your group got 100. Maria, what did you? Are you in the same group as Macalisi?
I don't think so. I think we've way too less than 100.
And that's unbelievable. I'm not going to ask you to read them out. I was quite chuffed because I got 36 on my own.
We've got 39, but
yes, we've got 42. We've got 100 from Macalisi's group. I might ask for a.
No, I'm just joking.
All right, so your group didn't actually get 100. What you like? Okay, so we've got a group with 42. That's Anne-Marie's group. We've got 30. Oh, I've got more. I actually on my own got more than one group. That's quite good. 46 from Ian's group. Near to 50 from Natalie. 39, 30. So Ian's, which group's Ian's group? Oh, lost you. So how did you find that particular activity? Oh, that was room 5 then that got the 40, the 50, nearer to 50. Oh, that's Natalie's group, sorry. So Natalie, you got nearer to 50. Okay, so how did you find that particular session with those letters then? Macalisi?
It does. Sorry about the 100. I wish we did.
It's okay, but like, wow.
Yeah, it makes you think. Really, really think. I know they're just like normal alphabets. Yeah. I mean, we do this with our clients as well, and oh my goodness, the brain. Yeah, I'm speechless. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's a brain gym, isn't it? So just out of curiosity, because I know a lot of you put in the chat as well that the S does make things a lot easier because you can add S to the end of everything. Yeah, so yeah, Savannah said the same. They just added and took away the S at the end to make plurals and singulars of words. Absolutely. So anybody want to put, what was the longest word that you got? How many letters was your longest word? I think mine was 6. I think that was the longest I got. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6 letters. Yeah. It is like an ice-breaking activity. Oh, Santa. I didn't get that one. That's another one. Santa. Thank you. That's 5, isn't it? Santas. Oh, plants, Anne-Marie. Yeah, so I think 6 letters seems to be. Oh, slab.
Yeah. We had pasta.
Pasta makes you run faster. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Which is 5 again, isn't it? Oh, pastas. Can you have more? I don't know what the plural of pasta. I think the plural of pasta is pasta, so I'm not sure. You can have pastas. Plans. Brilliant. So lots of 5, lots of 6-letter words. Brilliant. Okay. So well done on doing that. It's a nice little activity, actually, isn't it? It's a bit of fun. But actually, there's a bit of seriousness to this as well, because these letters are actually the more commonly used sounds. And so these are actually the ones that are taught first. Some schools or schemes to do with phonics do have their own approaches, to be fair, but this tends to be your more common starting point. And when we talk about synthetic phonics in particular, it's actually taught in stages or phases, and the phases are from stage 1 through to stage 6. So we'll come back after the break and we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail, but well done on that little bit of an activity. We'll all be going away over the break now, won't we? See if anybody come up with a longer word than just 6 letters. But if we come back for 1:30, if that's all right with everybody, give us a nice 15-minute break. Rest our brains after all coming up with all those words. Go and grab a drink and have a bit of time outdoors if you can. And I will see you back here at 1:30. Okay, thank you very much so far. Well done. Hi guys, just let me know when you're back in the chat, please. Oh, gone a bit chilly, hasn't it, today? Right, I've got 19 of you back, 20. So just, if you're just coming back to me, just write that you're back in the chat if you've not done so already, just so I know that everybody's back for the session. I've got 30, I'm just missing 8, 7 of you missing. Brilliant. So quite a few of you back, so just a couple more. So if you've not put in the chat that you are back, can you just add it in? And then we can make a start. Lovely. Just a couple more people coming back to us. And then we can make a start for the next bit of the session. Lovely. So if you've not put that you're back in the chat, can you just add in that you're back? Brilliant. I think that's everybody. Right, fantastic. Whoops. Okay, so during the break, I know it was your break, but during the break, did anybody manage to find any very, very long words to make out of those letters? I found a 10-letter word. But I did cheat and looked it up on Google. Apparently there's a really, really good website that you can do. So apparently with just those letters, you can make 908 words. I know. What was you all doing in that 7 minutes? Yeah, Atlanta. I found Atlantans. So people who live in Atlanta are called Atlantans, apparently. So that was a 9-letter word. 3, 6, yeah. Oh no. Yeah, 3, yeah, 9 letters. Very good. Well done. Okay, so we'll carry on with the next bit of the session this afternoon. So synthetic phonics is what we're continuing to look at. So I'll just put the information on the slide. There we go. So synthetic phonics is basically essentially a way of teaching and learning how to read. And in this method, the children learn the sound, the phoneme, for each letter or grapheme or group of letters. So words are broken down into the smallest speech sound. So once a child learns the letter sounds, what they can then do is they can then blend the sounds to form whole words. So with this technique, when a child sees a new word, they're able to segment it and then blend the sounds together to read the word. So blending is known as synthesizing, which is where the term synthetic comes from. So it's about synthesizing, being able to blend the sounds together to be able to read the words. So that's where it comes from. So an example, quite a simple example if you like, is dog. So if you think of the word dog, and I know, in fact, Gary, I think, was it Gary before? No, it wasn't Gary, was it? Who was it before? Who did the other word? Oh, can't remember. So if you think of the word dog, we can break it down into its smallest speech sound. So d, o, g. It was Gary, wasn't it? Because you said son. Yeah, sorry. So d, o, g. So dog, dog. So we're blending or synthesizing the sounds of each of those individual letters, if you like, into the word dog. So where a word has 2 letters which represent a sound, so for example, if you think of the word ship, sh, if you think of the word this, the th, the t, or ch, for with the CH, you've got your 2 letters, haven't you? S and your H, your T and your H, your C and your H. So when you've got those 2 letters that represent a sound, you would blend those together first. So for example, if you think of the word ship, you would blend sh, it, p, sh, it, p, ship. Okay, so you'd blend them together to make the word ship. I'm not a phonics teacher. These are things that I'm practicing as I go along as well. Some of you are probably far better at doing this than I am. Yeah, Rebecca's saying about digraphs and trigraphs. Yeah, it's all this new terminology, isn't it, that you learn about with phonics. Yeah, it's amazing what it all means. To say it was very new to me, all of this, because obviously I'm a secondary school teacher. Phonics is something that I've never taught. I've heard of it, but never taught it myself. So yeah, as I say, for some of you as parents, or you know, I'm not sure if anybody's grandparents themselves yet, but you know, it's something that you are probably learning, you know, firsthand. Yeah, so we're getting things like split diagraphs, split digraphs is what Louise is saying. So, oh yeah, we'll talk about all of these today, don't worry. Okay, is everybody happy to go on? Just give me a thumbs up if you're okay. Perfect, lovely. Fantastic. I'm just conscious that I don't want to go too fast if people are not ready. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the key components of phonics instruction. So I'll put these on and then I'll talk through them. Here we go. Okay, so phonemes. And phonemes we have mentioned a couple of times already in the session, haven't we? So phonemes are the smallest units of sound in spoken language. So they are the individual sound units that make up words. So for example, the word cat is made up of those 3 phonemes: cat, cat, cat. Graphemes are the written representations of those phonemes. So, as I mentioned before, they can be individual letters or they can be combinations of letters. So, digraphs or trigraphs, and we will look at these in more detail, don't worry, or even whole words. So, in the word cat, the graphemes are the letters C, A, and T. So that's phonemes and graphemes. You've then got blending. So blending is the process of combining those individual phonemes to form a word. And it's a fundamental skill in reading, as learners need to blend sounds together to read words accurately. So as children learn the sounds, learn the graphemes that represent those sounds, they can start to learn how to read words by sounding them out, putting those sounds together. And that's what blending is, okay? So blending is the process of combining individual phonemes to form the word. As I say, it's that skill that they use. Segmenting is then the opposite of blending. So that's where they will break down the word into its individual phonemes. And that's a skill that's crucial in for being able to spell. So learners need to be able to segment words into sounds to then accurately represent them in writing. And then decoding. So decoding is the ability to apply the knowledge of phonics to read words. So it involves them using the phonetic skills that they've learnt to be able to sound out words and to recognise them. And that's particularly important, isn't it, for when they're coming across new words, you know, bigger, more complex words where they're taught to break the sounds down, to break the words down into the sounds, to learn them. Sorry, it's my dog barking. Good girl, lie down. Good girl. So again, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready to move on. Brilliant, thank you. So there's a real science, isn't there, to phonics and to synthetic phonics, to being able to help children to read. Thanks, Zoe. Brilliant, thanks, Ian. Lovely. Lovely, getting quite a few thumbs up. Yeah, I think I've had lots of thumbs up. Couple more seconds. Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide, if that's all right. So what we're going to look at next is something called sensory phonics. So basically this is where we can use our senses, if you like, to help teach children how to make the different sounds and how to make the letters. So we're going to look at robot arms and schwa, which is what we're also going to look at. So this is a little video all about both of those things. Okay.
Introducing the all-new iPad Pro. It has the world's most advanced
Hello and welcome to Little Learners. I recently put out a poll on the YouTube community tab asking what kind of videos you wanted to see next. Phonics was the winner, with maths coming second, so don't worry, I will be putting up some more maths content soon. But in today's video, I thought that it would be good to kind of go into more detail when it comes to sounding out words using phonics. If you want to see any of my other phonics videos, of which there are many, you can view them all in one playlist, or obviously you can just chop and change between them. I will link all of that in the description box below. Okay, so I'm kind of going to talk to you about two main things, I suppose. So the first one is robot arms, which you may have seen me use in other phonics videos if you've seen those. That is just a way of using movement to help children when they're sounding out words. The second thing I'm going to talk to you about is the schwa, and we'll get onto that in a moment. I'm also going to cover a little bit about digraphs and trigraphs when sounding out words as well, so you get a kind of idea of those. So first of all, when we are sounding out words using phonics, many children find it helpful to have some kind of a movement to go along with this. So research tells us that children do learn better when they are having lots of different types of learning. So when they're learning visually and they're listening to things and they're moving, so kinesthetic learning. So it's always good to try and get the learning across in as many different forms as possible. And when you're working with just one child, you will come to know how they learn best. When you're teaching an entire class of children, it's important to use these different learning techniques so that everyone can benefit in some way. When we are sounding out words, I like to use robot arms. So this is when you use your arms every time you are sounding out a letter. So, for example, if I'm sounding out the word cat, I will do this. K, a, t. And when I've sounded out all of those, I will bring them together by clapping my hands and saying cat. So, k, a, t, cat. This is really effective. I found it really helps children a lot, and it's just something that they can be using independently. So if they're not sure of a word, instead of going straight to an adult to ask them what it says, they can sit there and try and do it with their robot arms instead first. It's also a really good technique if children are struggling to blend the sounds together. So what the robot arms are doing is when we are segmenting the sounds, so that's breaking down the word, so k, a, t, that's segmenting, and when we're bringing it together, bringing our hands together, we are blending all of those sounds together to make the complete word, cat. Many children will be okay with the segmenting and then find it a bit tricky to blend all of those sounds together. So with the robot arms, you can just keep going with the segmenting, getting faster and faster. For example, k, at, k, at, k, at, k, at, cat, cat. So it just helps them to bring all those sounds together, and the movement is just another way to help them do that rather than just saying it. It kind of helps them to really see the segmentation of the word as they're doing the movement. So I'm just going to go through a few more words for you now using the robot arm so you can see a few different examples. So let's think of the word top. So we'll do t, o, p, top, t, o, p, top.
Introducing.
And then if we want to move on to more complicated words with more sounds in them, such as the word from, we are going to do the same thing again. From. Then we will find words that are a bit longer and may even include digraphs or even trigraphs or even a quadgraph. So if you want to know what those are, the link is in the description below. But basically, digraphs are sounds that have two letters but only make one sound, like sh, ch, and f. And trigraphs and quadgraphs, respectively, are sounds that have three letters or four letters. So if we think of a word with a digraph in it, like the word chip, we are going to do exactly the same thing. But remember, we are not going to sound out each individual letter now, because the C and the H, the K and the H, go together to make ch. So instead of k, h, I, p, k, hip, we are going to say ch, I, p, chip. A word with a trigraph in it might be the word sight. So we are going to do the same again, remembering that we've got that trigraph in there, so that is just one sound. So we sound it out like this. S, I, t, sight. S, I, t, sight. So this works for many, many, many words in the English language. Of course, there are words that cannot be sounded out phonetically. You may know these words as sight words or common exception words. So these include words such as was, So of course we can't really sound out was using phonics because it would be was. So those type of words are words that children just need to learn by sight. And that is something that I've gone over in another video, which I will also link in the description box below, all about sight words. So now we've kind of got the gist of how we can use our robot arms to help us when we are sounding out words, and we know how we are using the sounds to break up the word and then bringing them all together, so segmenting them and then blending them all together. We can move on to the topic of the schwa. Now the schwa is something that haunts all teachers who teach phonics because it is something that comes up a lot. So a schwa is when you use the utterance after a sound. So this is most common with these sounds here. So instead of saying you say m, instead of saying you say l, which sounds harmless at first, but it can cause a lot of problems when children are then trying to sound out and then blend sounds together. So I think the reason that this happens is because years ago, when I was at school, and I know a lot of you watching, we did use schwas every day, and it was actually taught that way. Phonics was taught in that way, so we would learn m and n and l. This is problematic, and I will show you why we do not do this anymore. So let's take the word mat. Using proper phonics, the way that we need to do it, and using our robot arms, it will sound like this. Mat. So you blend them all together and it makes the word mat pretty simple. But if you're using the schwa for and t, m and t, then it sounds very different. Matter. It sounds like the word matter instead of the word mat. So let's hear the difference again. Mat. Matter. So you can see that this does cause a problem when children are then blending the sounds together. They're not making the word correctly. And I see this a lot. I see parents using this a lot, and it's not their fault at all. I totally don't blame the parents because it's probably how they were taught at school, or they've heard it somewhere else. It's still very commonly used, but it's not what we use in school anymore, which is why I make these videos, to try and help you and then to benefit your children. Let's try it with a different word. So for example, the word light. So of course we've got a trigraph in there, and if we are sounding out in the correct way, it sounds like this. Light. But if we use the schwas that are often associated with the sounds and t, so that they sound like l and t, we get this. La'ita, which of course is not what we want. So in summary, for sounding out words using phonics, it's great to use some movements such as the robot arms to segment and then blend sounds together to be able to read a word. This helps children not only remember how to segment because we're using kinesthetic learning as well as other learning, but it also allows them to do this independently rather than just giving up and asking someone what the word says straight away. We then also need to remember never to use a schwa. If you're unsure of which sounds suffer from the schwa and if you're saying them all correctly, then you can check out my videos linked in the description box below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up as it really helps out my channel. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe.
It's a really, really good video, isn't it? That about the schwa and being able to sound the words out properly. I know it's something as I'm quite guilty of because that's how I was taught as a child, and it's learning how to get out of that thing that you do all the time. What I will say, and we don't get paid for this at all or anything like that, but this Little Learners channel on YouTube is actually a really good channel to have a look at. She has, if I just go to her main page, as she said, she's got a massive list of videos, but she's got phonics, so there's a whole playlist of the phonics. Oh, I don't want the one on its own, sorry. But you can see here on the screen, she's got all the different sounds, a whole range of videos on phonics. It's really, really good. A good little channel to have a look at. And she also does lots of other things as well. We use some of the videos.
Are you a creator or entrepreneur? Then
we also use the videos in other sessions as well, but it is a good channel, a useful channel for phonics in particular. So yeah, so as I said, we're not paid to do that, but I do think it is a good little channel. Sorry, I'm just trying to. There's a couple of people who are mentioning some resources. Yeah, we're going to look at resources in a little while on the chat as well. Yeah, Ruth Miskin. Yeah, the Read Write Ink is good as well. Yeah, there's a few different ones. Somebody's asking about when the session slide pack will be available for this. Basically, as soon as we finish this session, they are looking at using this session for the recording. For you to actually have available. So the slide pack and the recordings will be available as soon as we've got an edited version of it. So I'll try and let you know when it becomes available. Okay, so I said that when we teach synthetic phonics, it's done so in 6 phases. Okay, so it is important to recognise that I'll just go through each of them actually. So it is important to recognise that while each phase is intended to be taught at specific stages or phases, children do vary in terms of their learning pace. So for some children, they might well grasp phonics really, really effortlessly, whereas for some others, they might need to revisit certain phases, you know, to recap and review and, you know, build on the foundations that they're learning. So although it's, you know, it's meant to obviously go through the phases, so, you know, everybody learns at their own different pace. So yeah, so it's just be mindful of that. But I'll go through each of the phases in a second, in a little bit more detail. But we can see that phase 1 is at home and sort of nursery preschool. Phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 are all tend to be done during reception, and then phase 5 is year 1, phase 6 is year 2. But as I say, for some children, they might need to review certain aspects of the phases, you know, at a later date. For some children, they might go on to another phase before the end of reception, you know, so a child might go on to phase 5 before the end of reception because they are grasping it really, really well. So just to go into those phases in a little bit more detail. So with phase 2, and then I'll put phase 3 on. So phase 2. So phase 2, children will learn phase 2 phonics in reception. Although, as I said, some children may start this particular phase earlier if they are ready to do so. And this is when they begin to learn the alphabet sounds, as well as beginning to read and to spell simple words. With phase 3, children will learn more complex sounds containing those 2 or 3 letters, so those digraphs, trigraphs, as we mentioned. They'll also begin to read and spell more complex words and sentences too. So that's your phase 2 and your phase 3. So I'll just give you a chance to just make some notes on those. Okay, so that's phase 2 and phase 3. So on the next slide, we'll look at phases 4 and 5. So during phase 4, children will not actually learn any new sounds. However, they will learn to blend adjacent consonants to read words such as trip or stop. So you've got the letters T and the R. So you've got the consonants there. So trip, stop, those sorts of words. And then for phase 5 in year 1, so when children are 5 to 6 years of age, they'll learn phase 5 phonics, and that's in preparation for the phonics screening check. And the phonics screening check is a test that is taken to determine if a child's to determine what a child's phonics knowledge is. And what it also does is it helps the teacher then to know what areas they still need help with particularly, so what support that child needs in terms of their learning. So with phase 5, they'll continue to revisit and they'll practice previous sounds, as well as learning new phase 5 sounds, including split digraphs, and we'll look at what those are in a little while. So that's your phase 4 and your phase 5. And you can see, can't you, there's lots of repetition, lots of recapping, reusing these sounds again and again and again, just lots and lots of reinforcement. So really helping to build children's foundations of the phonics. Petra?
Hello. It's reminded me of a thing my youngest came out with when he was in reception. He asked me on the way to school why bear is spelt bear and not because it's ear with a B on the front of it. So why isn't it pronounced like that? And not why isn't it spelt like beer? Because that's what it looks like. So I nicely passed the buck back to his reception teacher, who wasn't very happy with me for that one, because she couldn't explain it either.
But I suppose, but you can think of, but the word bear, as in like the animal bear, you've got the animal bear, but then it's spelt differently for bear, as in when you're not wearing any clothing and you bear. Yeah. There's a lot of
he was on about the furry animal when he was, but
the B in the ear, yeah.
Yeah, he was saying, but why is it spelled like that? I was thinking, I don't know. Ski teacher. She's the qualified one.
That's why we said earlier on, isn't it, why English in particular is so complex and so can be so difficult, because you have words, things like the word where, as in like where are you, where, as in when you're wearing clothes, it's the same words pronounced the same way but spelt differently, isn't it, in different and there, so it is very complex. It's I'm not an English teacher. Yes, Rebecca said the same. She usually just tells her son to ask the teacher. Yeah, and your. Yeah, so you've got your, and then obviously you've got you are, where it's been shortened to your. Yeah, things like your dialects, accents. Yeah, what makes it a very, very complex language? Absolutely. Okay, so that's phase 4 and phase 5. So then phase 6. So phase 6 James has got knows the terminology, the specifics of it. Yeah, it's because the English language has 2 root languages, so Latin and Greek. Thank you, James. So I'm not I'm not an English specialist. I love reading it, but I'm just not particularly good at understanding the backgrounds to it. So phase 6 focuses on grammar and is taught in year 2. So when your child is roughly 6-7 years of age. And in this phase, your child will learn the spelling rules such as prefixes, suffixes, and also alternative spellings and pronunciation. So that's when they're learning about the words that we've just been talking about. Okay, so that's your phase 6 of synthetic phonics. So moving on to, she mentioned sight words in the video. So just a little bit more on that, just picking up on what she said. So as she said, sight words are those commonly referred to as high frequency words or tricky words, if you like. So these are words that often don't follow the regular phonetic patterns and may not be easily decoded by sounding them out. Instead, these are words that are typically taught to children to recognise by sight, as they occur frequently in written texts. And on the next slide, we'll put some examples of those sorts of words. But as you know, was, W-A-S, was, there I was. I was here. If you think of that word, you know, if you sounded it out, as she said on the video, it doesn't work. So they're the sorts of, that's one word that would be an example of a sight word. Okay, so that's, so as I say, on this next slide is some examples of those sight words. There we go. So as I say, high frequency words are important for early learners or early readers to learn because they appear frequently in English texts and can make up a significant portion of the words in a given passage. So recognising these words by sight helps improve reading fluency and comprehension. So examples of those high frequency or sight words might include common words that are used frequently but don't conform to standard phonetic rules. So the examples we've got here are the, was, said, have, and are. Or and are. So these words are often introduced gradually as part of early reading instruction. And children are basically encouraged to memorize these sorts of words to enhance their reading skills. Okay, so that's the sight words. We've then got, we'll then move on now to looking at sound spelling patterns. So sound spelling patterns. So phase one was just the very, very basics, and it's what you learn sort of as the very starting off. So it's those letters that you looked at earlier on, s, a, s, l, and so on, p, n. They're sort of your basic sounds that they would be learning in phase one, as far as I'm aware. Okay, so sound spelling patterns is an integral aspect of the synthetic phonics approach. The ability to recognise and understand these patterns is like deciphering the musical notes of written language. So we're going to look at some of the intricacies and the significance of sound spelling patterns. So I'll just put the slide on. There we go. So sound spelling patterns are the recurring relationships between sounds, phonemes, and the written representations, the graphemes, in the English language. So a good way to think of them is as the building blocks that construct the written code, allowing us to translate spoken language into written form. And basically, understanding these patterns is just like mastering the syntax of a musical composition. So what I mean by that is it's mastering the arrangement of the language, of the sounds. That's what we mean by syntax, the arrangement. So basically it enables us to decode words with that same sort of finesse. Yeah, we're going to look at those as well. Yep, we'll be looking at those very, very soon, Rebecca, the CBC words. Okay. So why does sound spelling patterns actually matter? So the beauty of sound spelling patterns lies in their ability to provide a systematic framework for decoding words. So as we navigate through what is the vast landscape of English vocabulary, these patterns serve as reliable guides, if you like, basically helping us to make sense of the written word. And by being able to recognise these recurring relationships, it gives children a really powerful tool that enhances not only their reading skills, but also their spelling abilities as well. So it's a really important tool, if you like, to have in the toolkit, the literacy toolkit, because it's that framework that will help them to sound out words, to synthesize them, to break them down, and to then blend them to make the words up. So, you know, as they're learning to spell words, to read, to write, it's a really important framework that will help them to do that. You know, and if you imagine, you know, as adults, you know, we come across, you know, as you're reading books and things like that, you know, you come across new words every day, don't you? And sometimes it can be really difficult, can't it, to work out how to say a word, particularly for me, coming from that era where we didn't use phonics to learn how to say words, to do the spellings and things. And so, you know, it's as you use phonics you start to, it does make decoding new words much easier, to work out how you say them, how to write them, how to say them, and so them, the reading of them. Yeah, absolutely. Louise has just put that. It's a really empowering tool, isn't it? Yeah, because it's about them being able to write things, being able to read words, isn't it, and understand them. And it's proven again and again with this phonics system how much of a difference it is making for children's literacy skills. Yeah, Harriet's put, I'm not sure I could master the syntax of a musical composition. No, I'm not particularly very good at reading music. When I played drums as a child, I wanted to be Animal out of the Muppets when I was a child. I think I've mentioned that before. Yeah, you obviously have to learn how to read music, don't you? And yeah, it's not the easiest thing in the world. Couldn't tell you any of it now. So we've got some singers in the group who love reading music. It is a lovely, amazing skill to have. I can't sing, so never mind. Reading music. You'd never want to come to another lesson with me if I sang to you. So CVC words. So consonant, vowel, and consonant words. This is something that Rebecca mentioned in the chat a little bit earlier on. And do you know what, Marta? You're absolutely right. I love that her husband started to play the ukulele. I would love to play a musical instrument, to be fair, but I don't think I've got the patience. I don't pick up another hobby. Tend to do with so much things in the house, don't you? So consonant, vowel, consonant. So in words like cat, sit, dog, there is a consistent pattern involving a consonant sound followed by a vowel sound and ending with another consonant sound. This fundamental pattern forms the basis of many early words. So that's what we mean by the consonant, vowel, consonant. Oh no. Oh. Okay. Oh, Louise has put her reception class learns a song to go with each sound. It's very sweet to listen to. Louise, can I ask you, not to sing it, unless you want to, what's the song? Have you?
So when they learn they learn this song called Ants Marching Up Your Arm. So it goes with an action as well. So they just sing, this will be terrible, by the way, but it's ants on my arm, ants on my arm, ants on my arm, causing me alarm. So
that's dead cute.
Yeah, it is really sweet, and you can use that to remind them how to say the sound, because you can either do the action or just start singing, and they know that, and then they can say
Ah, wow. Do you know if there's like YouTube videos of those particular songs, or is there a particular channel?
I can only imagine there are. Yeah, but there's an action and a song for every single phoneme.
Oh, that'd be good. I'll have to try and find them. Thank you for that. I'll be singing to Mia badly. Oh, I love that. Ants on my arm. Too cute. Love it. Thank you. So they're all right. So Marta's put, they're all on YouTube A to Z, right? I'll have a look at those. I'll be singing them all to Mia. Bless her. She'll come every time she comes to the house, she'll have earmuffs on, won't she? She's like, Nanny's not singing to me. So just a little bit more on synthetic phonics. So consonant digraphs. So digraphs are pairs of consonants that represent a single sound. So for instance, sh as in like ship, ch as in chip. I told you I'm not going to be very good at this. And as in this, I'm really not good at that one. I have a gap between my teeth, so I really struggle. So the two letters together create a really distinct sound that's not represented by individual letters. So that's your consonant digraphs. And again, that Little Learners channel on YouTube that I mentioned before that we watched the video from, she has got little videos on these digraphs as well, and teaching how to teach the children to use them. They are really, really good. But you know, she's not the only person on YouTube doing it, obviously, but I do think as a channel it is very, very good. So Louise, just to ask, are the songs to go with them then, or is it just the individual letters? Do you know?
No, I think it's just the single sounds.
Yeah, the phonemes.
I think there's still an action though for a digraph and a trigraph.
Oh, shall have a look. Oh, Anne-Marie's got a video. Which one's that? What's that for, Anne-Marie? Let's find it. Let's click on it. Sorry. Oh, there you go.
Are you trying to grow your brand using outdated tools?
You're just not cool anymore.
Making connections is easy with SurveyMonkey. Get market research delivered in hours, not weeks, and clear, actionable insights so you can validate your ideas fast.
Ants on my arm. Ants on my arm. Ants on my arm. They're causing me alarm.
Let me just go on. Let's see if we get a different letter.
Like this. My friends and I went to the beach with my floating fish. It got a hole, the air came out.
That's cute. That's great. Thanks for that, Anne-Marie. That's adorable. Oh my gosh, these are songs you're going to be singing in your sleep. Cool. So I'll put that, I'll add that link, Anne-Marie, thank you. And Louise, thank you so much. I will, oh, James has got a digraphs one as well. Brilliant. I will add these to the next presentation. So these are the digraphs ones. Keep getting adverts first, don't we?
And row!
I don't know how well the songs are sung, by the way. I've only read them.
A.
My ear hurt, I was in pain. A. My ear hurt, I was in pain. What did you try to say?
Brilliant. Fabulous. Thank you for those. Good. They're just useful to have, aren't they? It's like having a toolkit, isn't it? If you're teaching phonics with the children, anything that can make it fun, kinesthetic, where they're moving and doing things at the same time is such a good idea. Is everybody still there? Sorry.
Yeah, we lost you, Janet.
Yes.
Yeah, my internet just stopped. I was talking away. Sorry. So, right. So I do apologise for that. So let me just go back to that. I was talking away quite happily and thinking, why is there nobody there? So, yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Chair. So long as I know you're all here. So that was the digraphs and the diphthongs. So I'm just very conscious of time. We were going to do a little activity, but you might want to just do this as an activity.
Sorry, Janet, I think we missed that bit about the vowel sounds. We didn't hear that.
All right, okay, sorry. This one, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, talking away to himself. Right, so vowel, digraphs and diphthongs. Maybe it's the fact he doesn't like me saying that word, I don't know. So
Janet, your camera's not on.
Oh. Hello. Thank you. Just testing. Depends whether you wanted to see me or not, I suppose. Sorry. Okay, so vowel, digraphs and diphthongs. So combinations like A as in rain or O as in boat are diphthongs. So like oi in coin. So they showcase how vowel sounds can be represented by specific combinations of letters. So that's your vowel, digraphs and diphthongs. Sorry, Emma, I think it's my internet, not yours. The wind's really, really picked up around our, not just our house, but obviously this area. I don't know whether it's not having an effect. Okay, is everybody happy with that bit? Fabulous. So as I say, we would sometimes, when we've got time, we would do this as an activity, but you might, I'm just very conscious of time because the next slide has a video on, which is about 10 minutes. So this is quite a good little activity to do with yourself, or not with yourself, but with yourself, with a partner at home or whatever. So you can make this as easy or as difficult as you like, really, and it's quite a good thing to do to help you to practice the phonics sounds, because as I say, I don't know, if you're anything like me, phonics is quite a new way of learning how to say sounds with children and things like that. So the idea is that you come up with a set of 6 words or however many words you want to, and it's about then decoding them. So, doing that synthesizing, breaking it up, and then blending it back together. You could do the robot arms with it if you wanted to. And it's just really helping you to practice the phonics and the sounds. And you can obviously use just the phonemes, you can do the digraphs, you can do the trigraphs, make that it's easy or as complicated as you want to. I know in a previous session, some people were really, really cruel with some of the words, they were going for supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And it got a bit ridiculous, but it just gives you that opportunity to practice. You could do it with your children if it's something that they do as well. So yeah, so it's just about helping you to identify the sound spelling patterns for those words. So just a bit of fun. That's something, as I say, you might want to do as a bit of a homework. Okay, so and yeah, Anne-Marie's she does this every time she's writing her answers down for her questions. I'll be honest with you, I started doing it as well. After the first time I did this session, I started practicing saying the sounds and things. So the last bit of the session this afternoon is it's a little video about some resources and toys that actually have been brought out to really aid and support phonics, but actually they're not as good as they look. And I think the important message from this video is to be really, really vigilant when you are picking out toys and things for children, to make sure that they really are what...
Gaz here, back on TV, this time with a real dose of reality. I've got kids now. Nappies remind me of...
Hello and welcome to Little Learners. Today I want to talk to you about things to avoid when it comes to phonics, and specifically I'm talking about resources or toys. Before we get started, don't forget to click that like button if you find the video helpful, and click the subscribe button and the bell so that you can join the Little Learners family and be notified every time I post a new video. Let's get into it. So I think I've probably got 5 things that you should avoid. The very first one is anything that claims to be phonics based but doesn't use the right sounds. For example, I saw this in Poundland actually, very recently. It clearly says phonics at the top, so it's a phonics resource. It's got all the sounds on there, it's got pictures and lots of words that start with that sound. So imagine my surprise, or probably not surprise, just annoyance at this point, when I saw that for I, we have an ice cube. Ice cube, ice, starts with I, but it does not start with the I sound. This is a mistake I see on so many phonics resources. The other one is, I wonder if it's on here. No, they haven't got it on this one. The other one I see a lot is for G. So G, the sound G, always ends up having a giraffe on it. But giraffe doesn't start with G, it starts with the J sound, a hard G sound. So people who aren't necessarily in the know, lots of parents who just want to get a nice phonics resource for their child's room, might pick up something like this because it says phonics at the top, so they trust that it's right. But actually, it's really important to look closely at these resources and make sure that they are actually correct. Here we have another one. So we have E. So E, and the sound it makes is E. But the picture we have here is an ear, which doesn't start with E. In fact, ear is a trigraph. That's a whole other thing. Yes, it starts with E, but it doesn't start with the phonic sound E. Can you tell how much this really infuriates me? So you can see how children could get very confused if we're using something like this to teach them, particularly if it's a parent or even an educator who doesn't know enough about phonics to be able to recognise these mistakes. So beware these kind of resources. The next thing is capital letters. Now, of course, at some point in a child's learning journey, they will learn about capital letters and the names of letters. But when children are first starting to read, capital letters are not what we want to focus on. We want to focus on lowercase letters because the books they will read are likely not to be in capitals. At least this resource had lowercase letters. I see so many wonderful resources online that I would love to buy. They look like a great game, or they look like they would be really interesting for a child, or they've got all of the sounds right and matching the right pictures, but they're using capital letters, so I don't get it. Because if a child is learning their sounds with capital letters and they learn how to read cat, cat, when it comes to reading it in a book, when it's not in capital letters, that's going to be really difficult. Now, as I say, we obviously do teach children capital letters later on, but it really frustrates me that so many resources and posters and games use capital letters instead of lowercase, because it really just ruins such a wonderful resource that could really help a child to learn about reading. Speaking of reading, my next thing is reading books. Now, obviously, there are so many reading books for children, loads of different schemes, and sometimes you'll come across a scheme that says that it is fully decodable, which is great. That means that the child can sound out all of the words. It might include some tricky words, so those are words that can't be sounded out, like the, and it will list those, and then children can read a book that is at their specific level. But unfortunately, we also get a lot of reading books that say they're decodable, but then For children who are maybe looking at phase 3 phonics, and this book is for phase 3 phonics, it's including sounds they've never learnt before and won't learn until much later. For example, I see the word city in a lot of books, or circus, or even Cinderella. These all start with a C, but they don't make the K sound, and children won't learn about a C possibly making a S sound until much later. You also see this with some books and also some resources as well that say that a word is decodable and it's not actually decodable. So it's really important when we're looking at reading books to get them from somewhere reputable, and I will put some links in the description box below of some of my favourite places to find stories to read with children that are fully decodable. I've spoken on this channel before about Time for Phonics. It's a relatively new phonics scheme that was validated by the DFE very recently, and it has fantastic decodable stories in it. So if you are a teacher and practitioner and educator and you're interested in taking a look at that, I'll put that in the description box below. This is not sponsored by them at all. I just really love what they're doing with phonics. I did also write some of the books that are in it, but I liked it before I did that. So it's really important to find books that are either fully decodable or tell you exactly what stage a child needs to be in to read them. Okay, this next one is probably the thing that I detest the most, and I've spoken about on this channel many times before, and that is having any kind of audio, so a video or a resource that has audio, which I'll show you one in a moment, that uses schwas. Now, a schwa is when we put the utterance at the end of a sound. So instead of saying for M, you would say M, which is incorrect because that doesn't help us to read. And if you're interested in learning more about why that's a problem, I will link a video either up here or in the description box down below. So when you look on YouTube, for example, for phonics videos for your children, I have seen so many that use schwas, and it is so frustrating. I promise there are no schwas on the Little Learners channel. It can be difficult to spot if you haven't watched the video through first, or you're not watching with your child.
We've gotta streamline these ideas. We need Grammarly.
I've got your back.
Also, we have resources that do this. So, for example, this one here. This was bought for my son. What a fantastic idea for a resource. It's all to do with letter sounds and also has some things about letter names in it. And it's to do with Thomas the Tank Engine, which is his favourite thing. So I was really excited about this. But imagine my disappointment when I heard this. The.
Press a button.
The. De. What even is that? Oh, it's so frustrating because this had the potential to be such a good resource, and it's just ruined because whoever developed this did not have the right knowledge about phonics or didn't do the right research into phonics and just, I don't know, guessed. I have never ever heard de. I have never heard de for D ever. Anywhere else. That was a completely new one to me. Obviously you heard things like T in there, which is a really common one, but then they got some right, like and so if you weren't paying close attention, you might think that it's absolutely fine. So please beware of these kind of things that we happily will buy for our children because they will help them to learn the sounds and they can play with it independently, but actually it's teaching them the wrong thing. Number 5 is all about teaching letter names rather than letter sounds. So I spoke about this in the video earlier, that we want to teach children letter sounds first and then the names. If they learn the names first, it could be really confusing for them when they're trying to learn to read. So you see a lot of videos that say, we're going to learn our letter sounds today. A is for apple. A, apple. And that makes no sense. It's so confusing for children when they start to read, because then they see an A and think it's A. Because really, by that logic, if we're saying A is for apple, A, apple, it should be A, apple, which obviously is wrong. So just beware of letter names disguising themselves as letter sounds. Okay, so those are the 5 things that I really hope you can avoid when it comes to buying phonics.
We won't play any more of that. So I think that's a really, really useful video in terms of just being very, very aware of resources, toys, posters and things that you might have bought, you know, for your children, for the phonics. Okay, so brilliant. So we are done actually for this session. So we're on to the last slide. I hope everybody's still with me. I think there's been a little bit of issues with the internet, hasn't there, this afternoon? So I do hope that in terms of the objectives, we now know what phonics actually are, and in particular the synthetic phonics. And then we've looked at some of the strategies that we can use to support children with learning phonics, and also ourselves, really, the sorts of strategies that we can use when we're in school with children to help them to learn phonics and help us to learn as well. So thank you so much for the session this afternoon. As I say, there aren't any questions to go with this session, which is brilliant, but don't forget to do your learner diaries for this afternoon's session. So, you know, don't forget to put that it's the end session that you've done, and, you know, the aims and the objectives in terms of what you've learnt. That little bit of homework might be a good thing to do, so where you try and come up with some words and decode them, look at the sounds, breaking down the sounds and then blending them back together. But otherwise, we are done. So thank you so much. If anybody's got any questions either about today's session or any other sessions, more than happy to stay on at the end. But otherwise, I'm more than happy to let you all go, and hopefully I'll see some of you at some point this week in some of the other sessions. So take care. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care. Bye. Thank you.